Okay, let's unpack this. You handed us a source document that is, well, absolutely fascinating.
Right.
It's a guide designed not just to inspire creativity, but to structure it with almost breathtaking precision. We are deep diving today into this highly structured, time-blocked 19-hour guide for creating a creative ministry and an anti-bullying campaign.
It's so much more than a syllabus. It's a rigorous methodology. What really jumped out at me right away is the sheer level of mandated integration.
How so?
While this guide forces the student through a really focused process that blends, several fields that seem totally separate.
Like what?
You've got deep spiritual reflection, and then you have these crucial 21st century digital marketing skills, think dynamics, social media reels, and Canva design, and then the very practical, measurable reality of product creation. In this case, it's selling cookies.
That's right. So our mission today is really to analyze this guide as a kind of universal project management blueprint. How does it get a student from that private, internal place all the way to a public, digitally ready campaign in just 19 hours?
And we want to pull out the lessons in structured creation that you, the listener, can apply to, well, any complex project you're tackling.
Exactly, whether it's building a financial model or launching a new product.
And we're pulling all our insights directly from excerpts from the 19-hour Creative Ministry and Anti-Bullying Campaign Guide. It's basically an instruction manual that treats creativity like a structured sprint.
And it promises not just a finished product, but measurable progress. That's the key. Every hour is accounted for, every checkpoint is mandatory.
It's intense.
So let's jump right into the foundation. This covers the first 5 hours, and it's essential. This phase moves the student from personal reflection right into an initial concrete digital concept. It defines the purpose from the very start.
And it starts with the highest possible stakes, purpose and personal commitment. So hours 1 and 2 are all about prayer, purpose, and idea generation.
It immediately grounds the whole project in Scripture, requiring the student to read 1 Timothy 4:11-16.
And for anyone who's not familiar, that passage is so critical to this whole guide.
It really is. It has the instruction to practice these things, immerse yourself in them, so that all may see your progress. And that reminder to do not neglect the gift you have.
See, that's not just a religious mandate. That's the mission statement for the entire 19-hour sprint.
Right. It sets the expectation for visible, intentional growth.
Exactly. The guide is basically saying your project has to be an observable display of your commitment and skill. And then the writing component in this phase, it just reinforces that. They have to write privately, and that's important, about 2 specific things.
Okay, so first, what God-given gift they want to intentionally grow, and second, how their creativity is going to encourage kindness and confidence. So why is that private reflection so crucial before they even, open up a laptop?
Because it ensures authenticity. It just does. In creative fields, especially digital marketing, the temptation is always there to start with what looks cool or what's trending. By forcing an hour of mandated introspection and goal setting, the guide establishes this authentic, unique voice. And that voice is what stops them from just copying templates later on.
Okay, so that internal purpose is then immediately mixed with external inspiration. And this is where it gets really, really specific. The guide mandates reviewing Chef Tiffany's Instagram.
Yes, and this is a perfect example of teaching professional design process. The instruction is to review her feed and save images only for colors, mood, and product shots.
Ah, so it's a mood board.
It's teaching them how to mood board. They're looking for textures, lighting, a general aesthetic feeling, not final campaign layouts.
I find that so targeted. It really isolates the artistic input from the structural output. But wait, how does looking at an external source like Instagram before the design phase prevent copying? Wouldn't that just lead to imitation?
That's where the checkpoints are so smart. The guide explicitly tells them that at this stage, they should just have a collection of ideas and moods, not final designs.
Just a vocabulary.
Yeah, exactly, a visual vocabulary. By limiting the input to colors and food presentation, the aesthetic, the student is discouraged from trying to lift the message or the layout from Chef Tiffany. Those are totally different things. It's inspiration as a tool, not a template.
Okay, that makes sense. So once that authentic voice is set and the visual mood is curated, we move fast into the technical build. Hours 3 through 5. The original Canva concept says this is the first big output.
And this 3-hour block is intense. They go from idea to execution. They have to create 4 distinct digital pages using Canva.
And these aren't just arbitrary pages, right?
Not at all. They represent the 4 critical communication needs of any mission-driven project.
Can you detail those 4 for us?
Sure, you have the campaign cover, that's your brand identity. Then the Why Anti-Bullying Matters page, that's the problem statement, the mission. Third is the product page, focusing on the cookies, the commercial engine. And finally, the fundraiser purpose page, the financial why. Every single person needs to understand all 4 of those things to buy in.
Emotionally and financially.
Both.
I love that. It immediately integrates the spiritual message, the social mission, and the commercial reality of selling cookies into one single professional document.
And here's the constraint that ties it all back to those first hours of reflection. Do not copy sample layouts.
A non-negotiable checkpoint.
Absolutely. The guide stresses that the student has to express a unique personal style through their choice of fonts, colors, layout, and tone. It's an assessment of their ability to translate their authentic internal voice into a digital aesthetic, not just, their ability to follow a software tutorial.
It forces real creative work. It stops you from phoning it in. Okay, let's move into the next chunk of time. Messaging, digital content, and action. This is hours 6 through 12.
And this is where the internal concept is translated into dynamic, public-facing media. We're shifting from static design to persuasive communication.
Hours 6 and 7 are all about story and message development. The language requirements here seem really nuanced.
They are. It's a real-world lesson in audience segmentation.
So what kind of language is required?
Yeah.
Because that determines everything.
It has to be youth-friendly and encouraging. Specifically, it says to avoid language that pressures anyone. And while it's a ministry project, there's this incredibly insightful restriction.
Which is?
It must contain faith-based hope, but strictly no preaching.
Wow. That's a vital differentiation.
Yeah.
That feels like a masterclass in modern communication. Why is avoiding preaching so important for a campaign like this on social media?
Because the goal is connection,
Right.
It's accessibility, not dogmatism. Preaching creates a barrier. It implies authority, even superiority. Providing faith-based hope is an open invitation. It's a shared perspective.
So the guide is teaching them to speak with their audience, not at them.
Exactly. That is high-level communication strategy being taught right alongside cookie recipes.
Incredible. Okay, so that messaging sets the stage for a really big 3-hour time block, hours 8 through 10, all for commercial and Reels creation.
Yeah. 3 hours just for short-form video. That alone tells you how vital dynamic content is for any modern campaign. The requirement is for 3 to 4 Reels concepts.
Using the images they already saved.
Right, from the mood board phase. Plus, text overlays and music that fits the message. The guide is teaching them content repurposing and format optimization. You have a message. Now, how do you package it for a 30-second scroll? That is tough.
It's very tough. And they don't just say make a video. The guide gives immediate structure by requiring that each reel answer 3 mandatory questions.
And that structure prevents what I'd call aesthetic drift. Every piece of content must answer, what is the problem? What is the hope? And critically, how can youth participate?
That's the ABC of persuasive marketing.
It is. Identify the pain point, offer the solution, the hope, and give the immediate call to action participation. They are forced to create content that's instructional, emotional, and actionable all at the same time.
That is a fantastic structure. It ensures the reels are not just pretty, but strategically effective. So, hours 11 and 12. Captions and call to action. This is where the creative work hits the logistical reality of fundraising.
This is the rubber meets the road stage. The creative is great, but does it make money? The captions have to sound authentic to the student's voice, but they have to clearly and concisely explain 3 essential logistical points.
What are those 3 logistical must-haves?
First, they have to state what the cookies represent, linking the product back to the mission. The cookie is an artifact of the purpose.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, they explain exactly how the funds help youth total clarity on the social impact, and maybe most critical for business success, how to pre-order. This is the moment the whole creative project gets tied directly to a measurable financial goal.
So they are learning to manage a full product pipeline, from idea right through to fulfillment. It's a rapid pivot from spirituality to sales.
In just 12 hours.
All right, let's look at the home stretch. Reflection, final polish, and submission. This is hours 13 through 19.
And the guide loops right back to its spiritual roots and accountability with hours 13 and 14. Faith connection. This is a mandated written reflection, and it becomes a required part of the final submission packet.
But wait a second. Isn't mandating spiritual reflection for a grade kind of forcing an emotion? Doesn't that risk killing any authentic spiritual growth?
That is a brilliant question. But in the context of this project management structure, this is less about testing authenticity and more about mandating accountability.
Okay, explain that.
The required content is very specific. The creator has to explain how the entire project reflects that original scripture, 1 Timothy 4.1116, and they have to provide evidence that they are not neglecting their gift.
Ah, I see. So it forces them to justify their creative output through the lens of their stated purpose. It's a mandatory purpose alignment review.
Precisely. If they said in hour 1 their gift was graphic design, they have to prove in hour 13 that their Canva work and their reels actually stretched that gift. It ensures the output isn't just complete, but purposeful.
How often do professionals complete massive projects without ever stopping to articulate how the final thing connects back to the original mission?
Almost never. This step enforces that critical connection.
So after that justification, hours 15 and 16 are for self-edit and improvement. This is the mandatory quality control check.
It's the moment the guide says, stop, don't just submit a draft. The structure mandates a quality check by giving them 3 specific questions for self-assessment.
And those questions are about effort, authenticity, and encouraging youth.
Right. They have to address any shortcomings they find and make revisions before they go to final assembly. It instills that professional discipline that a finished product has to meet a minimum quality standard, deadline or not.
Then we hit the final technical steps.
Yeah.
Hours 17 and 18, final assembly. The requirements here are just pure project logistics.
And they are precise. Export the final Canva pages, save the real drafts, which is a key detail. It shows the focus is on content creation ability, not public approval, and they have to clearly label every single file.
Organizational skills are being assessed right alongside everything else.
Yep. A fantastic idea is worthless if the final file submission is a complete mess.
And hour 19 is the clean wrap-up, submission.
No ambiguity. The guide outlines the 3 required components of the packet: the Canva campaign, the real drafts, and that reflection paragraph with the scripture connection. It's a clean project closure. All deliverables are met.
You know what stands out to me looking at the whole 19 hours is just the sheer efficiency of it all. It rapidly takes this highly personal concept and transforms it into a public, digitally ready campaign with a measurable goal, and then it mandates accountability.
It's design thinking and project sprint methodology applied perfectly to a social mission, and the guide loops back to that core scripture one last time. The final reminder given is from 1 Timothy 4.15. Practice these things, immerse yourself in them so that all may see your progress. So the value, then, it's not really in the final cookie sales. It's in the observable, measurable progress the student gains by practicing this kind of structured creation.
Indeed. This guide emphasizes not just creation, but mandated reflection, mandated quality control, and the clear articulation of purpose at every single stage. It's a blueprint for turning introspection into measurable action.
So we'll challenge you to consider this. How could applying a similar 19-hour structure, or even just a hyper-focused sprint, and that mandated reflection check benefit the professional or creative goal you're tackling right now? Think about the power of forcing yourself to stop, to analyze your own work against specific metrics for effort and authenticity, and to justify your final output against your original purpose before you hit send. It might just change the way you approach your next big task, allowing others to clearly see your progress.
Practice these things. Immerse yourself in them so that all may see your progress.